This is the syllabus overview for MG 768-820, which is Human Resources Management. My name is Trita Moskalik. I'll be your professor for the course. And you can see this is basic syllabus format. We meet Mondays 6 to 9, basically, in even weeks. So weeks 2 through 10 and 11 for this blended course. You can see my contact information in the next section. I do have my cell phone there because I have very limited office hours this quarter, and I wanted to make sure that you guys weren't leaving a voicemail on a number that I'm only checking twice a week. I have a little bit of details on my education background, and then it goes into course description. This is a human resources course. We're going to discuss the major pillars of human resources in some level of detail. Some of them we'll just touch on enough that you understand the concept, and some of them will do deeper dives and really get into creating and analyzing the information. You can see a couple of the course outcomes here listed on the syllabus, and they are all going to be things that we will cover in this course. The course delivery, this is a blended course. We meet virtually via Blackboard in odd weeks and face-to-face in even weeks. Blackboard is required. I will put all changes and updates into Blackboard. You'll actually notice these first couple of weeks a lot of changes as the course is not fully flushed out into Blackboard. It's all right now in Excel spreadsheets on my computer, so I just need to get that information into Blackboard. There is no required textbook for this course. The recommended textbook is the Managing Human Resources text that the bookstore has. You can get the 7th or 8th edition. The changes were extremely minimal, so either edition would cover the content. If you do not buy this textbook, you will not have an issue completing assignments or doing the discussions. But if you have zero experience with human resources and have absolutely no background and are very nervous about the content and some of the more technical aspects, the textbook will be a really good research and reference tool for you. But again, recommended, not required. I will have other materials and postings in each week with the content, but I did want to give you the option of a textbook. A couple of the course policies: participation is mandatory. It looks a little different depending on the week. It'll either be sitting in class and participating in our discussions, or sitting wherever it is that you do your discussions and participating in our discussion posts. It is required that you show up. Attendance is the same thing. You don't actually have to check in on the virtual weeks, but you do have discussion posts every single week. You can't really take any time off in these classes. They go too fast and you really need to be present. If you miss something, it will all be posted into Blackboard. You just need to look and see what you missed. If you have any questions about specific content, feel free to reach out to me or any of your classmates that you feel have a good grasp on the content. The next section are my late submissions policy. It's pretty simple. 10% a day off until no points are left, and then you can't submit it anymore. If something is coming up and you know that your assignment is going to be late, you have to reach out to me before the assignment is due for any chance of getting an exception to the late policy. You just need to email me or text me and let me know that you're not going to be able to get the assignment in on time and why. And on a case-by-case basis, I'll decide if your reason is adequate enough to not have late policy submission deductions. Every week we will have discussion posts due. I have them due every Wednesday, so we have plenty of time to discuss it as the week goes on. You'll just reply to my initial thread with your post and with as many words as it takes you to answer the question. I do not have minimal word counts or minimal references. I tell you as needed for references. Some of the posts you won't need any. Some of the posts you might need 2 or 3. It really depends on the question and how you choose to answer it. Talking to your classmates is part of your participation score. I am not requiring any number of responses past the initial post. So once you post your initial comment, nothing else is required of you. However, your participation grade is 10% of this class. And if you have never commented on your classmates, you're really not going to enjoy your participation score. On the other side, if you put a lot of noise, great post, thanks for the content, that does not add value to our conversation. That is just noise that we all have to read to see if there's anything of quality there. I am looking for quality responses, not number of posts, not number of words. So when you have something to say to a classmate, please say it, because it is helpful for us to have a good discussion. But if you don't have anything to say on that particular topic, just leave it. And that's how I'll be doing participation, is quality of content posted in replies and in our classroom. Okay, the next section is contacting me. I do not regularly check my emails on the weekends. It is very hit or miss if I do. So what I do not want to have happen is Saturday afternoon, you are contacting me for an assignment due Sunday night, or probably more realistic, Sunday afternoon, you're trying to contact me for a question for your assignment due Sunday night, and I don't get back to you. And you still have a question, and either you don't submit your assignment or you submit your assignment incorrectly. Do not let this happen. That's what I'm here for. Give me a call, give me a text. Even I sometimes have students text me and all it says is check your email, because they know they have a really long question that they don't want to text, but they don't think I'm going to check my email. So that's fine too. What I don't want you to spend a lot of time being frustrated when it can be cleared up with a quick text or conversation. So please do not hesitate, if you have any questions, to reach out to me. Grading. I use the typical MSOE grading scale. For all assignments, I have a model of 60% of your grade is content, 25% is logic support. So you don't just say, this is the answer. You tell me this is the answer, and here's why I think that. Here are the thoughts that led me to this point. And the flow of your paper, does it make sense from a flow point of view? You're not all over the place, and I can't really follow what you're talking about. That's 25%. And the last 15% is technical. How is your APA? How is your grammar? How is your spelling? Those sorts of things. So that equals 100% of your grade for all of your assignments. And honestly, probably your discussion prompts, I will be following that same mental flow. Speaking of assignments, this is what you're being graded on in our course. You have a diversity assignment, a job description assignment, a compensation assignment, a performance review, and a case study. These are your 5 big assignments. They're each worth 10%. You have 3 article reviews, which are each worth 5%. And then you have roughly 20 discussion posts. Each one is worth roughly 1%. And that will be 25% of your overall grade. This is a huge bucket because these are all the things in the discussion posts that we need to discuss but aren't large enough for a full assignment. That's why this is such a large chunk of your grade. So you're really going to want to spend time on your discussion post. I am not just looking to see, did you do it? Yes, here's your 1 point. I'm going to be grading each one on quality, logic, technical, that sort of thing, to make sure that you're actually getting it. Okay, so if you have an initial post and I reply back with, I don't know that I agree, had you considered this? And you reply back with content that supports it, answers my question, tells me why you think you're correct, I will look at both when I'm grading for quality of content. So if you never reply and you just have an initial post, that's all you're going to get graded on. So although it says discussion post, initial post, I will look at replies for content to make sure you have content mastery there. Participation is 10%. That is your class participation and your replies to classmates, and that equals 100% of our class. The last sheet here is your calendar. Now this might change. I don't foresee it changing, but just as a caveat, it might. All of our discussion prompts are due Wednesday night. All of our article reviews are due Friday night, and our assignments are due Sunday night, with one major caveat. Week 3 is rolls into break. So Friday, the 25th, we're on break for that Friday and the whole next week. So I can't have the diversity assignment due Sunday night because that's Easter Sunday. So the diversity assignment is actually due Thursday night of week 3. So you want to put a little bit of planning into there. One side note, I can't make it due over break. That's against the rules. We're not allowed to do it. What I will say is I'm not going to enforce my late policy until that Monday. So I am complying with the rules, but I am not enforcing the rules. That's going to be a big theme that we'll discuss later on about human resources. It is due Thursday night, but I will not enforce the late policy until Monday morning. So read between the lines, and that's what it is. And then you can see the rest of the weeks. The case study in week 10 has a component of interviewing somebody that is a director level in HR over multiple disciplines. This person is going to be busy. You want to get on this immediately, trying to identify who you're going to talk to. They need to be a manager of managers, so that's usually a director. It's sometimes a senior manager title, and they need to be over multiple disciplines. So if they're just a payroll manager and all they know is payroll, they're again not going to meet the quality. They're not going to meet the assignment qualifications. So if you work at a very small company and you're going to be talking to the vice president of human resources, but they only manage 2 people, you're going to want to send me an email and explain to me the situation, and we'll talk through and see if that person would meet the requirements. In that case, the answer is yes. But if you are not talking to a director level or higher that oversees multiple departments of human resources, then you are really not going to like your grade. You need to find the right level of person to make sure that you can meet all the requirements for the assignment. That is our syllabus overview, a little bit touching on some of the assignments. If you have any questions, please reach out to me.